The Leoncino is basically meant for fun, for just having a good time. These are not strictly touring or racing motorcycles. It's simply designed for what we've been doing today in the nearby mountains, just riding through the curves from morning till sunset. My dear friends, judging by these lions, you can probably guess where we are. We are in Pesaro in Italy, in front of the Benelli Company Museum. This used to be the site of the Benelli factory. It used to occupy much more space, but for various reasons, only one building remains, housing some truly fantastic collections. I'm here at the invitation of the Polish importer of Benelli motorcycles, Motorland, and Łukasz is filming us here, and on top of that he'll beautifully show what's behind those doors. So a fantastic museum with truly unique motorcycles, from pre-war 4-cylinders with liquid cooling to even older ones like the first Dion Bouton, which was already running here back in the 19th century. But that's beside the point. We're here for the test of Benelli's latest creation, the Leoncino 800. I'll be honest with you, I'm the only guy who bothered to show up here, because the rest of the crew, even though they're younger, said they needed to take a bath and look presentable. I apologize, I don't look very elegant because we've just spent the whole day riding around the mountains, testing the traction of this motorcycle, the brakes, the engine and so on. Listen, for me the bike is pretty tall, but I can just about reach the ground with my feet. It generates about 74 horsepower, which for mountain roads I would say is absolutely sufficient. The motorcycle is not strictly a touring vehicle, but as I said, it's meant to bring joy from riding and simply to look good and be beautiful. Guests are enjoying themselves riding it around the local, well, maybe not just the local roads, because actually right now Benelli is probably getting close to first place in sales of Italian motorcycles in Italy. There are plenty of them here. Today we're riding the standard version, which I would call the street version. We'll only get to the trail version tomorrow. At the press conference, they said that this is not the same motorcycle. Different suspension and a different suspension setup, a different stroke well. The engine is basically the same. The seat is much less comfortable, but it kind of works. But we'll see tomorrow how I get on riding the trail. That's all for now, because I don't want to bore you too much here. Anyway, the bike is cool. It's already available in Poland, and I encourage everyone to at least give it a try and see how it rides, because as you can hear, the guys here are riding these motorcycles all over the place in circles. Tomorrow we'll try to check out the trail, but for now, thank you very much for letting me, so to speak, ride these motorcycles in their birthplace. I encourage everyone who likes this type of machine to go to one of the Benelli showrooms in Poland, try them out, take a ride, because there really is something worth checking out. Today is the second day of our adventure with Benelli motorcycles, so the area around, well, where Pesaro, of course, because that's where the factory was located. Now, only the design offices are located here, and as you can see, the motorcycle is a bit dirty, because this time we're dealing with the off-road version of the Leoncino 800, that is the trail. I think I'll start by saying that the Leoncino is probably one of the largest motorcycle families, because basically anyone who wants to ride a Leoncino or the Little Lion can choose a 125, a 250, a 500 or an 800. Additionally, some of them even come in two versions, the standard basic one and the slightly more off-road version called the Trail. Yesterday we rode the basic version of this 800, although in fact it's actually a slightly improved 750 engine from the previous motorcycle, with slightly modified ignition maps, a bit of a redesigned clutch basically, just to make it ride better and look nicer. And I really have to admit, this motorcycle does ride better. The Leoncino family is basically meant for, well, for fun. These aren't strictly touring or racing motorcycles. It's simply designed for what we've been doing today here in the nearby mountains, riding through the curves from morning till sunset and having an amazing time with this motorcycle. Yesterday I tried to say something about the basic version, but after a whole day of riding, I was pretty exhausted. I don't think I had anything particularly insightful to say. This time though, I've thought things through a bit more, and either I'm just enjoying riding this motorcycle more because it's more fun, or I've simply gotten used to these Italian mountains. In any case, this trail version has somehow appealed to me more than the basic version, even though the differences are quite small. I mean, there are some differences. You can't say that they just put on different tires. I would even say they're not off-road tires, but dual-purpose ones. And that's basically where the work ended, so to speak. The suspension has, well, not much more travel, just 10 millimeters more, but that's already for the front, of course. But I think it's tuned a bit differently. Anyway, this motorcycle performed excellently for me on those curves. I enjoyed riding it more than I did yesterday. And the engine is quite flexible, even though some of my colleagues complain that the power is just average. For me, 76 horsepower is completely sufficient. You don't need more. Rarely did I even have to shift into fifth gear while riding through these mountains. Generally, after sharp turns, it's a lot of shifting. Second, third, second, sometimes fourth. And I'll say this, not once did the suspension bottom out. Even though sometimes we rode well, our friends let us for a moment in what they called it off-road. I would call it a high-quality gravel road. It was some kind of mountain gravel track, very pleasant. Not once did the suspension bottom out here, and not once did the ABS kick in. And by the way, I wanted to say that basically, apart from the ABS, this motorcycle doesn't really have much in the way of electronics. That means no ignition maps, no traction control, and that's a good thing. It's made for riding and having fun, not for fiddling around, so to speak, looking for problems where there aren't any. The suspension isn't adjustable either. Of course, the front doesn't, but the rear does have adjustments for both the spring preload and rebound damping, which the guys here servicing our team probably set up well, because none of the journalist colleagues complained about stiffness. We didn't have to change the suspension settings. The liquid-cooled engine, even in these Italian temperatures of around 33, 34 degrees, didn't overheat, didn't whine, didn't squeal, and the valves didn't make any odd noises. In short, it performs excellently in hot temperatures. How will it perform in Polish conditions? In winter? Well, we'll be testing that on site. Here I'm smiling at the guys from Motorland that once the hype around this motorcycle dies down, I'll take it out in the fall, which is just how I like it, in the rain and snow. I'll see how this motorcycle performs in slightly different temperature conditions. One of the cool things I really like is this TFT display, of course. It's in color, and how should I put it, it doesn't have any excessive or unnecessary features. In short, for a slightly older motorcyclist like me, who doesn't need to mess around with all that electronics or whatever, it's perfect. It works perfectly here. What else can I say about this motorcycle? It's gonna be good. I have a feeling that it's probably gonna sell well in Poland. Although, to be honest, I'm also hoping that this 800cc engine, as the guys told us yesterday, kind of in secret, will also be implemented in Benelli adventure type motorcycles, and probably soon. But for now, basically, we're only dealing with the Leoncino trail and the regular Leoncino, which I have to say, I really like as well. Somehow, I think you also improved the thickness of the seat padding, because when I rode the 500 trail, I found it particularly, I'd say, uncomfortable and pleasant at the same time. And here, well, we didn't really cover any huge distances either, because in total we probably rode, I don't know, maybe 200, maybe 20 or 30 kilometers, but my butt didn't hurt at all, nothing bothered me. I'd say it's perfect for this kind of business use. I sincerely hope that Benelli won't simply rest on their well-deserved laurels, and will indeed serve us another truly remarkable machine in some foreseeable time, probably equipped with a more powerful liter engine. Because, you know, if the family is growing, then let it grow, just as long as it's not called Leoncino, because Leoncino in their language means little lion, so a small lion. And where did it even come from? Well, Benelli was already using the name Leoncino for their motorcycles back in the 1950s. They used it because in front of the factory gates, which we visited yesterday and which is now turned into a fantastic museum. We toured it yesterday. There are these lions standing in front of the gate. Therefore, the Leoncino series was simply named after those two stone lions guarding the factory gates. Although I have to admit, the previous version of this little lion, because notice the whole family has this lion attached to the front fendesso. If someone sees a motorcycle like this on the street and doesn't know what model it is, they can always impress their friends by saying, "That's a Benelli Leoncino," without revealing that the only reason they know is because of the lion. That's what makes it a Leoncino. Anyway, I expect that the sportier version will probably show up as well, but I guess that's not really for older goofballs like me. It's more for younger people, you know, those who like to zip around the twisties. But overall, I'm really glad that the company is developing so well and heading in a direction that, God willing, every motorcycle company would be able to manage. Because right now it seems that Benelli is, well, certainly not first, but maybe only second in the Italian market in terms of sales of adventure series motorcycles, meaning their TRK 502 is simply a market hit. In Poland too, I hope that people will somehow warm up to these machines because they are simply cool, ride well, and I definitely recommend them. And I'd like to thank the gentleman from Motorland very much for, so to speak, making it possible for me to visit the area around Pesaro, although it could have been a bit cooler. Thank you.